Hey everyone, this is G, and today I'm going to show you this Christmas tree cloud funnel pour that I made, and I'll walk you through the colors that I used and the process that I went through. So the colors I'll be using are all from Arteza. From left to right, we've got crimson red, neon orange red, lemon yellow, neon green, neon jungle green, and sky blue. I'm going to use an older canvas here that I didn't like the pour. I gave it a quick sanding and wiped all the debris off. And now paint will stick to it better than if it were just smooth paint. The acrylic paint I'm using for the base is a budget brand called Saks Heavy Body. This is a very common mistake that people make when they're choosing a budget paint for their base, is they miss the fact that budget paints tend to have thinner bodies than premium brands or student or artist quality brands. And as a result, when you follow a recipe, bases usually have the same recipe as their colors. But if the paint itself is thinner than the colors, the base ends up being thinner than the colors. Think of it like trying to fix the foundation of a house by fixing the roof. Nothing you do to the roof is going to fix the foundation of a house, right? So you always want to make sure your base is as thick as intended, which is basically the same consistency as the colors, or even a little bit thicker if you want to be safe, right? So I like to spread out the base completely when I'm doing the cloud funnel. This ensures that the paint spreads evenly once I spin it out. If you use a round canvas, because of the way they fold the canvas itself, the fabric, you're going to get a lot of these creases along the sides. You want to make sure you smooth that out with paint so you don't have paint pulling specifically on those creases, and it tends to disturb the composition. When I'm working on canvas and I can't set the funnel down and let it go, and it might move around, I like to put a little bit of the lacing mix onto the base first and then put the funnel in that. And this sort of prevents that sort of overlap of the base going over the lacing mix, sort of breaking the lacing mix, right? So I put a little bit on the canvas, put the funnel, and then put the lacing mix in the funnel, right? Then we're gonna order the colors, pretty much the same order that I had them in the beginning, following the gradient, going from the darkest red to the yellow, and then to the green and to the blue. Once again, the colors were crimson red, I believe, neon orange red, lemon yellow, neon jungle green, and sky blue, I believe are the names. So I'm going to follow, like I said, following the gradient to minimize the sort of clashing of colors, right? Once we have the green, I'm going to put the cloud mix in now. To be honest with you, in my cloud funnel technique, I usually don't use more than 3 colors because after the 3 color mark, they tend to get lost. So I don't expect to see much of the green or the blue, right? But we need volume. We need volume to actually cover this canvas. So what's actually going to happen is the green and the blue are mainly going to sit under the other colors, and they might show up as like the center of cells or a gradient in the cloud cells, but I don't expect much beyond that. All right, so releasing the paint very gently, tapping it a few times as you go, and it's really important you don't raise the funnel too high, otherwise the colors will come out on top of the lacing mix. We want them to stay under. So I'm speeding up this section of the cells developing. In real time, this took about 1 minute 50 seconds, and I sped it up to, just about 20 seconds, just so we can get through this faster. But I like to let the cells fully develop before I spin anything out, whether it's in this technique or others, because if you spin, you prevent them from reaching their full size, and then you begin stretching them before they've reached their full size, right? So you'll know they've reached their full size when they basically stop expanding. It takes about 2 minutes for me at this consistency. I've left the spinning in real time so you can see how fast it actually is. As you can see, it's not very fast. When we're making short form video, the vertical stuff that you see on Facebook, we have to speed it up, right? Nobody wants to sit there and watch the thing spin for 3 minutes, right? So this is in real time. I do it slowly, recenter it if you need to. You can control, how off-center it is with tilting, and then you can expand with spinning. They kind of serve two different functions, right? And you'll notice as the paint spreads out more of that lacing mix will sink, more cells will show up. In this example, I intentionally made the lacing mix a little bit thicker, so it's not sinking fully. It doesn't look like when you swipe or make a bloom, for example, right? The cells still maintain a little bit of roundness because the lacing mix isn't sinking completely. If it were sinking completely, honestly, all this would take is a little bit of water in the lacing mix, and it would look more like the swipe or some of the other examples that I've done of the cloud funnel. But this is just one of the ways that you could sort of modify how it looks. If you want more present lacing mix color, and it looks like the cells are floating inside this blackness or in this space, as opposed to a very clear pattern of lacing, this is the way that you could go about it. And yeah, basically what I'm doing is just making sure that I have paint going off the sides evenly, right? And once I'm happy with that, it's good to go. I can move it to its drying station. Make sure you wipe the bottom, like scrape the bottom, so you don't have more paint running off. And here's the finished painting. I think it turned out pretty well. This recipe tends to dry exactly as you see it. The texture doesn't really change. It's on the thinner side, unlike blooms and swipes where the paint is thick. So if there's a discrepancy, it tends to leave texture. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about this technique, I'll leave the links to the course in the description and in the comments. This was G. Thanks for watching.